Imagine a product so powerful that it generates profit without ever producing anything tangible. A product so invisible that most people don't even notice they are buying it every single day of their lives. This product is called debt. And debt is anything but a neutral tool. It has been systematically turned into the most profitable business in human history. Debt has enabled wars, shaken empires, put countries into dependency, and quietly drained the wealth of ordinary people. Yet if you asked most people where debt actually comes from, who invented it in its modern form, and why it completely dominates our financial system, very few would have an answer. The history of debt is not just economic history, it is the history of power, control, and money itself. In its simplest form, debt means only one thing: you borrow today and you pay back tomorrow. But in this promise lies the core of the system: interest. Interest turns time into profit. It turns the future into a source of income. The early high cultures already knew how dangerous this could become. In Mesopotamia, debts were recorded on clay tablets, but regularly erased completely. Rulers introduced debt cancellations because they understood if too many people are trapped in obligations, the social and economic fabric collapses. The Old Testament also demanded a debt cancellation every 50 years. A clear message: uncontrolled debt can enslave entire societies, but over time, the powerful learned not to erase debt anymore, but to turn it into their greatest weapon. In Europe, the Church officially banned usury in the Middle Ages. Excessive interest was supposed to be forbidden. However, merchants and bankers quickly found ways to bypass the ban. Hidden loan contracts, fake trade agreements, complex financial instruments. With the Renaissance, everything changed. Families like the Medici built gigantic fortunes, not through trade or land, but through lending. They financed kings, popes, and armies, and in doing so gained power over them. Debt became the engine of political power. The real breakthrough came in the 17th century. The Dutch Republic financed its war of independence against Spain with government bonds bought by its own citizens. People could lend money to their own state, collect interest, and trade the bonds. For the first time, a king's war no longer had to be limited by the gold reserves of a ruler. You could simply sell the future. England copied the model. In 1694, the Bank of England was created, and with it the modern state that is permanently based on debt. Governments stopped ever fully repaying their debts. They rolled them over endlessly. Bankers became the hidden rulers behind the throne. In the 18th and 19th centuries, London, Amsterdam, and Paris became the financial centres of the world. Armies marched, ships departed, colonies were conquered, all on credit. With industrialization, ordinary people also slipped deeply into the debt system. Factories, roads, railways, everything was created through loans. Workers lived on wages funded by borrowed money, and they themselves began to borrow for houses, tools, and later consumer goods. Debt became everyday life. In the 20th century, debt was finally normalized. Mortgages, car loans, installment payments, credit cards, student loans. Modern life was structured so that debt was not the exception but the standard. And here the bitter truth becomes visible. Debt does not generate one-time profit, it generates ongoing profit, month after month, year after year. A house ultimately costs 2 to 3 times its purchase price. A credit card can become a trap that grows faster than your repayments. Debt became the most successful business model of all time. By Bretton Woods in 1944, it was clear that the global economy could no longer function without debt. The IMF and the World Bank were meant to help countries, but in reality they institutionalized global dependency. States received loans, but only under conditions set in Washington and Basel. Debt became a political steering instrument. At the same time, banks discovered households as the most profitable market of all. Buy now, pay later. Mikeson, a perfect slogan for decades of dependency. In the 70s and 80s, developing countries were flooded with loans until Paul Volcker massively raised interest rates. Many nations could no longer service their dollar debts, so they received new loans, even harder, even more expensive. Meanwhile, Wall Street turned debt itself into a tradable product. Mortgages were packaged, sold on, and bundled. Debt became a security. In 2008, the system collapsed, but it wasn't the people who were saved, it was the banks. And after that, even more debt was created. Zero interest rates, liquidity, quantitative easing. Today, global debt exceeds $300 trillion. Debt became the substitute drug for stagnant incomes, the hidden tax through inflation, the illusion of growth. And with central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, the next stage is approaching, money that is programmable, monitorable, and controllable. The history of debt shows that efficiency for the creditor almost always means control over the debtor. Debt is not neutral. It is not simply a tool for progress. Debt is a deliberately cultivated product, the most profitable ever invented. A product that turns time into money. A product that turns dreams into interest payments. A product that pushes power upward and dependence downward. Anyone who truly wants to be free must understand the system survives by keeping you in debt. Real freedom means reducing dependencies, questioning promises of cheap credit, and recognizing that behind every loan offer is an apparatus that lives off your future. History does not repeat itself, but the pattern remains. From Mesopotamia to Wall Street, from ancient debt tablets to modern mortgages, debt enriches the creditors, burdens the debtors, and shapes the world in favor of those who control the flow of money. The cruelest trick of all is that we are taught to celebrate it, to call it progress, and to confuse indebtedness with prosperity. If this gave you a new perspective, subscribe to the channel. History knows the patterns. I will show you how to recognize them.